cybersecurity preparedness, it's really not just an IT task anymore, is it? Something you hand off and just hope works out.
No, not at all. It's fundamentally shifted. It's now an operational survival strategy
Right.
for the whole organization.
Right. And today we're doing a deep dive into some really critical guidance on this. We're pulling from CISA, that's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, and also from experts advising, interestingly, the judicial system, all focused on one core idea. How do leaders, whether you're running a small shop or a huge company, actually build genuine cyber readiness?
Exactly. And our mission today is, well, to take those CISA cyber essentials, which can be a bit dense, and those detailed incident response frameworks.
Yeah, that can be a lot.
They can. Boil them down. We want to focus specifically on the non-technical foundations leaders must lay down because the sources are crystal clear. Surviving modern attacks, things like ransomware or massive DDoS events.
The really nasty stuff.
The really nasty stuff. It isn't just about having the fanciest firewall. It's about culture. It's about planning. Cyber risk isn't isolated anymore. It's a holistic threat.
Hits everything. Operations, reputation, customer trust.
Your bottom line. Even your organization's basic survival, it's that serious now.
And look, as we talk about the investments needed for this, the planning, the tools, we really want to thank our sponsor. When leaders like you need to invest in the right cybersecurity capabilities, the place to find those specific tools and services is www.cisomarketplace.com.
A great resource for exactly these kinds of challenges.
Right, let's unpack this then. If we accept that readiness starts at the top, that it's cultural, what's the absolute first step, the maybe hardest thing a leader needs to do?
It really starts, and honestly, it ends with a leader, with you. Your main job here is driving the strategy, getting the budget, and then rigorously enforcing that culture of security.
And you don't need to be a tech wizard to do this.
Absolutely not. Being a cyber leader isn't about coding or network diagrams. It's about having the political will, really, to drive change, to make sure everyone is aware across every single department.
So leading the investment, not just in shiny new tech, but
crucially, in continuous training, awareness programs for every single person on the payroll. That human element is key.
That brings us right to the staff, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The sources we looked at consistently point to the users, the people actually clicking things as, well, often the first line of defense, sometimes the weakest link.
Precisely. You can have the best tech stack in the world, but one wrong click on a malicious link, and you're compromised.
So the training needs to be different.
Exactly. It needs to shift from just, informing people to actively changing their behavior. It can't just be that once-a-year PowerPoint click-through anymore.
Right, like cyber hygiene.
That's a perfect analogy, like hand washing.
Yeah.
You're not just teaching what phishing is. You're building a habit of vigilance, of skepticism, and reinforcing it constantly. Yeah. Testing, policy adherence, the whole package.
Okay, culture and people are foundational. Let's shift to some concrete actions. What are those immediate, high-priority technical things leaders can mandate? Maybe without needing a giant consulting project.
Yeah, there are some basics outlined by CS that are just essential. We can group them into 3 steps around inventory and access. First, learn what is on your network.
Simple, but crucial.
It sounds simple, but it's often overlooked. You absolutely cannot protect what you don't even know you have. This means keeping up-to-date inventories. Hardware, software, all of it.
Especially with shadow IT and cloud services all over the place now.
Exactly. You need to know what's in play, as they say, and therefore what's actually at risk. What's your attack surface?
Okay, know your battlefield. That's step 1. What about the people on that battlefield? Step 2.
Step 2, learn who is on your network. Inventory all connections, not just employees, but vendors, partners, remote workers, everyone. And then this is probably the single biggest technical impact a leader can mandate implement multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, FA.
For everyone, you start immediately with the privileged accounts, admins, remote access users, because they hold the keys.
Yeah.
But ultimately, everyone needs it. No MFA, it's like leaving the front door wide open. Seriously.
Well, MFA is huge, foundational. But I imagine rolling that out across a big, complex organization, that's a major lift culturally and logistically. What's the pushback?
Oh, absolutely. It's inertia.
Yeah.
It's perceived inconvenience. It takes too long. It's annoying. But you have to weigh that against a catastrophic ransomware attack.
No comparison, right?
None. Leaders have to frame MFA not as optional, not as a suggestion, but as a core operational requirement tied to policy. You can't log in securely. You can access the systems, period.
Tough, but necessary. Okay, and step 3, you mentioned access control.
Yes, strict access control. This is often called the principle of least privilege. It's vital.
Explain that simply.
Think about keys to your house. You give the house cleaner a key to the front door, maybe? You don't give them the key to your safe.
Right. Makes sense.
Same idea. You restrict access and admin permissions based purely on what someone needs to do their job. Need to know. If the marketing team doesn't need to change firewall rules, they don't get permissions for that. It minimizes the blast radius if an account does get compromised.
Okay, this is where it gets, well, really interesting and frankly a bit terrifying. If we operate on the assumption that a breach, especially a sophisticated one, might be inevitable.
Which is a safe assumption these days.
Right. Attackers only need to succeed once. So what's the absolute linchpin for survival? The most critical asset. It's got to be the data, right? And getting it back.
It is absolutely the data. Your IP, your customer data, your financial records, your operational plans, that's the lifeblood. Recovery has to start there.
So how do we ensure data survival according to these frameworks?
2 core elements come through loud and clear. First, you must inventory information assets. This goes beyond just knowing your hardware. You need to know what sensitive critical data you actually have, where it lives, where it moves, is it on-prem, in the cloud, both.
Know what you have, where it is. Got it. And the second piece, the what if it all goes wrong plan.
That's multi-level redundancy with backups. The CISA guides, the judicial advice, they're all unequivocal on this. Even the best defenses can be breached. Your entire contingency, your ability to not pay a ransom, hinges on recovering systems and data from known, accurate backups.
If you can't restore, you're basically stuck. You pay, or you potentially fold.
That's the stark reality.
And the sources were really specific here. Just having a backup isn't the end of the story anymore. They talked about advanced security for the backups themselves.
That's right. It's not enough to just run a backup job. You need regular automated backup, sure, redundancy. But the critical piece, especially against ransomware, protecting the backups themselves. Encryption is table stakes. Physical security for any tapes or drives. And the absolute non-negotiable offline copies, what we often call air-gapped storage.
Okay, explain air-gapped for a leader who isn't deep in IT. Why is that separate, isolated copy so vital?
Think of it as your fireproof vault, completely disconnected from the main building. Sophisticated attackers know about backups. They actively target them. They'll try to encrypt or delete your online backups right after they hit your main systems.
So they cut off your escape route?
Precisely. An air-gapped backup, one that's physically disconnected or logically isolated with network controls so stringent it might as well be, is the only way to guarantee they can't touch it. When your network is burning down, if that backup is safe in its vault, you still have a path to recovery.
That's a powerful image. The sources also mention long-term retention, keeping backups for months. Why so long?
It's because of dwell time. The detection gap. Attackers can be inside your network for weeks, months, sometimes over a year before they actually pull the trigger on the ransomware or start stealing data.
Wow, that long.
Oh, yes. So if your backup cycle is only, say, 30 days, you might just be backing up systems that are already compromised. You need retention going back several months, ideally, so you can restore to a point in time before the initial intrusion happened, a clean state. Okay, so that's the preparation side. Now let's shift gears. What happens when the alarm bells do go off? Active crisis response.
Right, the moment of truth.
The sources give us a really clear framework for this, sometimes called the ABCs of cybersecurity incident response. It stands for assess, block, collect, and disseminate.
ABCs. Okay, sounds manageable. When that first alert hits, what's the focus under assess and block?
First up is assess. You need visibility. Use your logging and monitoring tools, hopefully automated, to figure out the scope. How bad is it? What's affected?
And the logs themselves are critical here.
Absolutely critical. Think of them like an airplane's black box. But, crucially, those logs must be stored securely, tamper-resistant, and ideally isolated from your main production network.
Why isolate?
Because attackers know logs track their movements. A primary goal for them is often to delete or alter those logs to cover their tracks. If your logs are on the same compromised network, they're gone. Secure off-network storage is key for forensics.
Makes total sense. Secure the evidence. Then fast reaction. Block. Containment.
Containment is everything in those first minutes and hours. Limit the damage. If you suspect ransomware, the guidance is often stark. Disconnect the affected machine, pull the network cable, isolate that segment of the network immediately.
Don't wait, just cut it off.
Don't wait. You have to stop the bleeding. Prevent data exfiltration, stop the spread across other systems, fast recognition, rapid isolation. That could be the difference between losing one machine and losing the entire company.
Okay, contained, now what? Collect. This sounds like forensics. What does a leader need to understand about collecting evidence?
It means preserving the digital evidence in a way that's legally sound. Think chain of custody, making sure data isn't altered. You need to understand what happened, the type of attack, where it came from, how long it lasted, which systems were hit. This isn't just for fixing things. It's crucial for legal action, insurance claims, understanding your vulnerabilities. You're building the case, essentially.
And there's a legal dimension here, too. The sources specifically warned against, what was it, hacking back?
Yes, absolutely critical point. Under U.S. law, you must never hack back. Even if you think you know who attacked you, trying to access their systems, even to retrieve data or retaliate, is illegal. It constitutes unauthorized access. You have to rely on law enforcement, period.
Good warning. Okay, the final step, disseminate. Communication. This often seems like where companies stumble publicly. Why is speed and transparency so important, even if you don't have all the answers yet?
Because trust evaporates quickly, especially now. Rumors fly, social media lights up. You lose control of the narrative almost instantly if you stay silent.
So get out ahead of it.
Get out ahead of it. Early, proactive communication is vital. Acknowledge the incident. State what you know honestly, even if it's incomplete. Explain what you're doing about it. Provide a timeline for updates. Having a single authorized spokesperson is key. It prevents mixed messages and helps preserve that public trust. And frankly, trust is often harder to rebuild than your servers. And it's not just about PR. There are serious legal teeth here.
Absolutely. Many places have laws with strict timelines for notifying people if their data might have been compromised. Failure to safeguard data, failure to notify promptly, that brings statutory penalties.
We saw that emphasized in the materials related to court systems. They have very specific federal and state breach notification rules. These aren't suggestions. They're legal requirements with potentially hefty fines for delays. We're talking hours sometimes, not days or weeks.
Okay, this is complex stuff. Implementing robust MFA, designing those secure, air-gapped backups, getting the logging right. If you're leading this strategy and need to find the right technology partners or specific services to make these CISA essentials a reality, that's where our sponsor comes in. Check out the resources at www.cisomarketplace.com.
Exactly the place to find those solutions. All right, let's talk about the final piece of the puzzle. Testing, training, and exercise.
TTE.
Ah, yes, the drills. Sometimes feels like homework, maybe?
Leaders might see it as a cost, yeah. But the source materials treat it as absolutely essential, like insurance you hope you never use but you must have.
Yeah.
An incident response plan sitting in a binder is useless. It needs to be muscle memory.
And the NIST materials we looked at broke down the types of exercises nicely. Good for leaders figuring out where to start. First, the tabletop exercise.
Right. Tabletops are discussion-based. You get the key people in a room. Could be 2 hours, could be a full day with a scenario. Maybe it's that phishing attack that turns into ransomware.
And you just talk it through. You talk it through. What's your role? What does the plan say you do? What communication happens? Who calls who? It's very cost-effective for just validating the plan itself. Does it make sense? Do people know their part?
Okay, that tests the plan on paper. What about testing the actual execution? The tech, the people under pressure, that's the functional exercise, right?
Exactly. Functional exercises are hands-on. You actually simulate the incident. Maybe you do take a system offline. You make people use the backup communication channel so they perform their actual response duties in a simulated environment.
Sounds more involved.
It is. It can last hours or even days. But it provides that invaluable hands-on practice. Can we actually restore from backup? How long does it really take?
Yeah.
Do the emergency procedures work?
And the big benefit here, maybe beyond just the practice, is that these exercises give you hard data, proof points for investment.
Absolutely. They expose the gaps in a way nothing else can. If your tabletop says backups are secure, but the functional exercise shows it takes 3 days to restore critical systems, well, that justifies the budget request for a better backup solution.
Or if staff can't find the paper forms when the network is down.
Exactly. It highlights training needs, process flaws. For those critical functions, like court arraignments or protective orders mentioned in the judicial guidance, exercises prove you can maintain operations even if the digital systems fail.
Yeah.
That's real operational continuity.
So, wrapping it up for the leader listening, what's the bottom line? Cyber readiness needs tech investment, sure. But it seems like the real core is strategic leadership, driving that culture change, demanding proactive planning, and then testing it all. relentlessly.
That's it in a nutshell.
We've covered a lot today, really digging into building cyber resilience, focusing hard on what leaders need to own. The key takeaways for you seem pretty clear. You have to drive the investment, both financial and cultural. You absolutely must prioritize robust, secure, offline, air-gapped backups. That's your ultimate safety net. And you have to test your plans regularly. Simulate the crisis before it happens.
And remember, the threats aren't going away. They just evolve. Whether it's simple attacks hitting unpatched systems or those really targeted spear phishing campaigns CISO warned about, proactive, tested planning is genuinely the cornerstone of resilience. It's what lets you survive.
And one last reminder for leaders looking for the specific tools, the partners, the services to build this readiness from MFA to backups to logging. Find solutions and providers at our sponsor, www.cisomarketplace.com.
Okay, final thought to leave you with. Something provocative. The data suggests the average time an attacker stays hidden inside a network before being detected is around 181 days.
6 months.
6 months. And then the average time to actually contain and clean up the mess is another 60 days.
2 more months.
Right. So ask yourself this. If you found out today that you were compromised 6 months ago, how would your organization actually function if you lost all your main digital systems for the next 2 months? That massive gap.
Yeah.
The hidden compromise plus the lengthy cleanup. That's where all this preparedness truly proves its worth. That's the gap you're trying to survive.